I'm Radio Matt, and this is Reviews of the Nerds. Today's review is for Lost and Found, the pilot episode for Star Trek Prodigy. In 2383, 5 years after the USS Voyager returned to Earth, a motley crew of young aliens in the Delta Quadrant find an abandoned Starfleet ship, the USS Protostar. Taking control of the ship, they must learn to work together as they make their way towards the Alpha Quadrant. A cast of aliens led by Dal, voiced by Brett Gray, a 17-year-old maverick of unknown species with a lot of hope, and Gwen, voiced by Ella Purnell, a 17-year-old Val Nakot, who dreamed of exploring the stars while growing up on her father's bleak mining planet, lead the cast. I'll be talking about the pilot in this review, so spoiler warning if you haven't seen it yet. The pilot is all about Dal attempting to escape his slavery on this mining planet and in the process discovering the USS Protostar buried deep within the planet, alongside several other aliens ready to blow that pop stand. It's a typical 45-minute or so Star Trek show, but CG animated, obviously geared a little more toward children and made up of no human characters, aside from the brief appearance of the Captain Janeway hologram at the very end. Even though Voyager was my favorite Star Trek show and Janeway is hands down my favorite captain, fight me, I have to say I was not very optimistic about the show. It was out for several days before I watched it, but I was very surprised by how much I loved it. I got invested in their characters very quickly, and the story, which of course has barely begun, has me hooked. The pilot very much has the same feeling as some of the CG animated Star Wars shows, to the point where I had to keep convincing myself that a Jedi was not about to show up and save the day. Now, since Janeway only shows up at the end, I have no idea how the story will go from here and how much the Janeway hologram is actually in the show, but as of this moment, I'm 100% here for the story. I give the pilot of Star Trek Prodigy 10 out of 10 phaser blasts. Check it out on Paramount Plus, or, wait until the whole season is out and then get the free trial so you can binge it, whatever works. That's my review, and remember, a ship this size would require at least 37 appendages.
Friendship. The concept of it is actually quite strange and peculiar. Finding people who are similar enough to you that you get along, but different enough to challenge you. Walking into each other's lives and purposely choosing each other for no other reason than you want to. Since the beginning of time, companionship has been a necessity. God saw Adam and knew he needed a counterpart, a partner, but also a friend. Loneliness was never part of God's plan for us, yet as adults we find ourselves in seasons of feeling desperately lonely. Moves happen, family dynamics shift, fallouts between even the closest of friends. Life just gets in the way. Whatever the reason, we can often find ourselves struggling to feel connected in true, authentic friendship. When that happens, remind yourself of two things. One, this is just a season, and seasons serve purpose. Ultimately, our growth may be the reason for this temporary season. And secondly, Proverbs 18:24, a man of many friends will come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. We know no matter the season or the struggle we may be facing, no matter how lonely or distant we may feel, the friend who knows our every thought and still loves us is never too far. He is our rock, our comfort, our hope and peace when all seems lost. He is the friend we can lean on when life is too heavy, and no matter how strange or peculiar friendship may seem, he is the perfect example of how to be a friend to those in need.
Hey everyone, I'm Hector Miray, and this is Faith and Fandom 180 on LTN Radio. So I've been a Whovian for a hot minute, like a long while now, since pre-Faith and Fandom, since before, like, at least two of my children. Doctor Who has been, like, a consistent, steady part of our family. In fact, one of our kids is named after a Doctor Who character. But anyway, the Doctor Who schedule has not been, like, consistent for years. Ever since we hit the last couple seasons, the transitions of who's writing and show running the show, things have been a little off as far as like timing. And so we're not even used to consistent episodes of Doctor Who anymore. Like there's years in between and stuff. And so was really excited. A new episode popped up on Halloween, and there's going to be 6 continual episodes that all tell one story. And so was really pumped about that. And so I just sat down with my family to watch the first episode of that, which is Doctor Who Flux episode 1. And I wasn't ready. Like, none of my family was ready. Like, we watched this with almost confused faces, because where the previous 2 seasons of Doctor Who under the current showrunner have been very slow, very methodical, very, slow-paced, payoff. This was literally like they crammed 4 seasons worth of storyline and plot points and stuff into 50 minutes, where all of us just kind of were like, that was a lot to take in, like a lot. And it reminded me of what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 3, when he says, brothers and sisters, I could not address you as people who live by the Spirit, but as people who are still worldly, merely infants in Christ. I give you milk, not solid food, for you are not ready for it. Indeed, you are still not ready. And sometimes we as Christians don't actually pay attention to how we're sharing the gospel or how we're sharing our lives, and we just dump decades of theology and doctrine on like newbies who can barely understand small things. I'm just going to tell you guys, we should learn to pace ourselves in how we deliver big things. That goes for you, Doctor Who. Remember to catch Faith and Fandom 180 every Wednesday morning on the Back Row Morning Show, only on LTN Radio. And if you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcasts, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector Miray, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.